said there might be a story about Port Breton, which is located on the southern end of New Ireland in Papua New Guinea. It's in the Eastern the Islands region. It was to be the centre of the free colony of New France. Here with Mission Alive, this is Roger from the MSC Mission Office. The man behind this was the Marquis de Ray. He had been for his life something of an adventure, going to many parts of the world, fighting in wars, delving into various enterprises and whatnot, and now he conceived of this idea of the free colony of New France, the Republic of New France, and he was to be Charles I, Emperor of Oceania. Now you might wonder what relevance this has to Mission Alive. Well, that was the area where the MSC missionaries, where Father Chevalier accepted to begin a mission in Melanesia and Micronesia. And as I said, the missionaries didn't just jump on a boat and head off over the horizon, they did their homework. So in that they had read the report of Bishop Carney of Townsville, not Townsville, Rockhampton, and they read anything else they could find about the area, and in that they would have read all about the Marquis de Ray and his expeditions. So in 1877 the Marquis began his expeditions out, and all in all there were 5 or 6 expeditions, all of which actually ended in disaster. But the missionaries thought, well, here's an area where there might be something happening. And they found out too that on one of these expeditions there was a priest called Father Lanazal, and he had also concluded that the prospect of this free colony of New France was a disaster, so he'd moved from there across to the Gazelle Peninsula where Rabaul is situated today. And so the Father Navarre had these sort of contacts, so he wanted to go there. So part of his movements, when he had finally got to Sydney and they had been able to establish a base there in Botany Parish, then he moved on to this Port Breton, and the captain had agreed to take him there, and he would have paid for that. And that whole story of payments, that was another part of the mission that we often can forget about. They had to have financial backing. They had to have accreditation so as they could, from France, a bank in France or something had accreditation so it could be used in Sydney or somewhere else. So they get to Port Breton. Father Navarre took one look around and it was just disastrous. It was at the south end of New Ireland. It was cramped in between the sea and the mountains. It was constantly wet, full of mosquitoes and jungle and all kinds of stuff. The worst place in the world to want to begin a settlement. So he'd heard about that some of the Frenchmen from there had moved across to the Gazelle and were starting plantations and trade stores. So he thought to go there, and there also he met Father Lanazal. Now the captain said, no, you paid to come here, I brought you here. Not taking you any further, and the weather looks like it might be too difficult to get there. But anyway, they persisted, and Father Navarre was a bit of a strong character right through, and till he died. And so he won the day, and the captain took him there. And so that's where he was able to begin the mission there. He left some men there, and Father Lanazal, he was a strong character too. So they had some maybe argument, a bit of a dispute, and in the end, Father Lanazal said, "Okay, you've got the mandate from Rome. You take over. This is what I've done. I'm off." And he went, and I think he spent the rest of his life with the Maori in New Zealand. So Navarre started there. That was the story. In the end, the whole thing of the Marquis de Ray's New France, the empire of the Pacific, of Oceania, absolutely completely failed. Many people died. Some went to New Caledonia and they were rescued there and brought to Australia. It's another little story. The governor at the time, I can't think of his name, he loved everything Italian. So a lot of these people were not only French, they were Italian, from the border, Italy, France. He loved everything Italian. So he sent a boat and he brought these people here to Sydney, and eventually they settled up the mid coast up there. What's it called? Little Italy, little place up there. So it was a story. This just illustrates in the mission, as I said yesterday, it was a complex world and they had to constantly find their way through that. But these men, they kept their vision of what they were doing. They kept on track to what they learned. They took the opportunities as it came. They made decisions as necessary, and the mission went ahead. And that's a story of Mission Alive, and it is alive today for you and for me. Thank you.